doesn't have merit, a story that doesn't have merit. I'm not quite sure what the distinction is.
Okay, all good journalism has merit, but not all writing that is meritorious is good journalism. For instance, I could have gotten my scoop on the mayor's marriage breaking up. I could have gotten it by sleeping with a source, by plagiarizing, by breaking every journalistic rule in the book. But if I still broke that story, I broke that story. I did something meritorious, even though I broke every journalistic rule in the book. So the first question with a news story is not, is this good journalism? The first question is this good?
You guys agree with that?
Well, I think there's the issue of accountability that you owe to your viewers and readers. That there was some sort of a legitimacy to that story. Like, suppose if I got a story by stealing, by breaking and entering, and I got hold of some documents and I published and I got my story that way, and I didn't say in my story that I got this by I committed a felony, burglary, and I should be arrested for it, or if it's a felony, then I'm being unfair. I'm being unfair to my readers. The readers are supposed to know where this stuff come from. That's part of it's part of the writer, the reporter's feeling of accountability and responsibility to the people who read them.
Those documents that you unearthed saved my life. I wouldn't give a flying leap if you stole them. So it depends on the importance of the information. Once again, you can't get away from the merit of the information.
I think he makes a good point in a sense that, I mean...
Except you don't know a lot of times whether the information has any merit.
Well, I mean, if it saves my life, if it's, like if I found out that my wife was cheating on me through the most unethical person in the world, I would want to know that. You know when information shakes you up. You know when it can save your life. You know when it can save your time. You know when it can save your job. And when that information is that important to you, how that information was derived is of
often
much
you
less
don't know that
importance.
the information is accurate, though, right away when you read it. And with respect to a lot of the stuff that you read on these blogs, you know, and especially with the mayor's affair story, I mean, there was all kinds of information being posted anonymously on people's blogs. Much of it turned out to be, you could not confirm it as being true. You just couldn't confirm it. And it was out there, and you know, some people even reported it in the mainstream media too, and I think that was a mistake. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Well, there was a story that the mayor had a second affair with
a planning commissioner.
That's right, who had accompanied him on a trip
that
to
could
Korea.
not be
that
confirmed.
Story, as we all know, was well reported in the mainstream media.
It could not be confirmed. I think that was a mistake to report that story.
It was not confirmed, but it was well reported in the mainstream media.
What do you mean well reported?
That he was having an alleged affair with a second woman. It was well reported based on...
Yes, it was reported. I don't think it was a decision that was good to report that. I mean...
I would agree with you. I mean, but just...
But it was also widely disseminated online.
Right, big time.
Bloggers
For weeks.
And websites.
Because it broke in a mainstream publication. It broke in a Korean language mainstream newspaper a couple of years before. That's the origin of the story about the planning commissioner.
Well, and it also was getting a lot of play in people's anonymous posts.
And then it got brought up because they were citing that Korean language. And see, one thing you wanted to say there, but you didn't because I busted you on it before. You wanted to say the bloggers were saying something that wasn't true. You were just dying to say that what they were saying wasn't true. And the reality is we have no idea if the mayor has had an affair with any number of people. We just can't confirm it.
But does that mean it's fair game then to disseminate it? If we don't know, we can't confirm it.
No, but you want to bust the bloggers for reporting something that's not true, and then you have to realize you have to pull that back and say, I'm going to bust them for reporting something that they can't confirm.
I'm going to be the heretic here. I know I'm going out on a limb. Although the mayor confirmed he had a relationship with Mrs. Salinas, I've yet to see a story by anybody, including myself, that proves he had a extramarital affair based on the facts. I mean, he was separated from his wife, and there are some issues there. So we were talking about him confirming having a personal relationship with a woman other than the wife he was legally married to. There are other issues that get into that. But talking to the wife's mother-in-law and sort of skirting around the issue, I've never seen a hard, straight news story that proves you know, Mayor Zaragoza was having
What would it take for you?
sexual
How about something
relationship
like
with
a video or
reporter.
something? I mean,
No, I know, but I mean, we get down to the really hardcore, you know, it's sort of like a conglomeration of everything turns into the perfect storm of, well, we just know he did it. I've yet to see a story
But
with
see, on the one
kind of
hand,
hard,
but
hard
on the one
factual
hand,
proof.
you guys are saying the
Luke was
mainstream
saying,
The
though, I
LA
think-
Times did a story that says, you know, he brought some takeout food and a bottle of wine over, you know, one evening to the condo, and, you know, that's the hardest piece of evidence they have that he was having an extramarital affair.
So you're saying the
I'm
main.
divorced. I think adult males and women can actually see other adults, and that's not a good enough proof for me.
Okay, in that
he's
case,
having a-
that was run in the LA Times,
Yeah.
and so you're saying that that's an example of the mainstream media
That was their best piece of
using
evidence.
rumor and innuendo and
Yeah, that was
circumstantial evidence.
That was their best piece of
convict
hard
someone.
evidence. I find that pretty lacking myself, but, you know, so to sort of just say the LA
Well, I
Times
think-
published it, that makes it hard evidence is a
You know,
misnomer.
look, I think this is an argument that's already been decided. I mean, it's been decided a while back. I don't know exactly when stories like that are stories. I mean, they should be stories. He's the mayor. His marriage is in trouble. He's getting a divorce. He has a girlfriend. That should all be out there in the paper. And if this was in New York, you're damn right it would be in the paper. It would. There'd be nothing. There'd be in the Post. It would be in the Daily News. It would even creep into the New York Times. So that's the way. Those are the rules of the game now. I never could understand why the LA Times didn't report about the breakup of Mayor Hahn's marriage. I mean, here's a guy who's, you know, he's getting a divorce. I don't know why he's getting a divorce, and who knows the interior complexities of a marriage, and I don't really care. But just as an editor or as a reader, I just want to know that stuff, and I think it's fair game.
It was reported that he was getting
Well,
a
I mean, it
divorce.
was reported.
Or they
in
were
this-
separated.
It was reported in this, like, you know, not the way people talk. And if this had been New York, you know, and Mickey Kaus, he pointed this out over and over again. If this had been in New York, it would have been on page 1 of the Post, and page 1 of the Daily News every day. And so I'm saying I grew up under the old rules, and I got to say, you know, in my heart of hearts, I'm probably more comfortable with the old rules. But I also know those rules are over, and I think you should you've got to do it. And somebody who's in public life, that's one of the risks of the game. If you want to go into that business, I mean, if you want to go into something else, you want to go into, you know, I don't know, work for some bureaucracy or be a doctor or something. Well, your private life is pretty much public business now if you're in public life.
I agree, but the question is how you go about, you know, presenting that story, and should you bother to confirm as much as you can? Should you even try to confirm the elements of the story?
You should try to confirm it. That's one thing. You should try to.
Because some people on the web don't think you need to even do that. Luke doesn't believe you have to do that. He believes it's okay to run unconfirmed allegations.
No, I didn't say it's okay. It may be bad. It just is. We're living in a world where this is going to be the way it's going to be for a long time. I'm not saying at all that it's okay to run unconfirmed allegations. But if an anonymous commenter is accurately reporting what a mainstream Korean language newspaper, you know, the innuendo there, then
What if it damages that person's reputation and it happens to be false? I mean, how do you know that?
then that person's primary beef should be with the publication that has, you know, 100,000 subscribers that broke this story, not the anonymous commenter on a blog that has about 1,500 readers a day.
There are other names mentioned too that weren't mentioned in the Korean publication.
I'll cop to this. I listed about 9 names. I said if we're going to look for other mayor affairs, other mayor girlfriends, here would be my 9 most likely names.
You actually gave
and
their
I
names.
listed their names and I listed their positions. I said I have no evidence that the mayor has had affairs with these, but if I wanted to name the people that most likely, that the mayor would be having an affair with, these would be the ones, because we're dealing here with the man who is not capable of